who the host of DAO1 Community Hackathon. We are in the first day of the first edition of DAO1 International Hackathon, the first day of the live battle between the founders, the developers, and startups. And I have a special guest with me, Nils Tharandt Ortiz. I've met him in Dubai at a DeFi conference. He has an amazing panel, and after that, we got in touch. Has a huge business experience, which I believe is very valuable, no matter if you are at an early stage entrepreneur or if you are a little bit developed. He also was involved in 2 exits. So in the entrepreneurship world, exit is one of the goals when you start something. So Nils, welcome to DAO1 Community Hackathon. Please introduce yourself and let's dive in.
Thank you very much, Adrian, for inviting me, and glad to see you again, not on stage in Dubai, but back in our home offices. I think this year we will have still some Zoom conferences, online hackathons before we will get back to real life events. So my name is Nils Tharandt Ortiz. I'm a trained lawyer, and for almost 20 years, I'm an entrepreneur. I set up several companies, of which 2 I made a successful exit, and other companies I'm still involved. And I'm very happy that Adrian approached me, and I'm very glad that I could share my experience with you, what matters to build a successful business.
One of the very important things when you start something is self-discipline. And most of the people, they have fantastic ideas, but when they start implementing, the things fall apart, and they either don't find motivation, or they don't have the tools or the skills to build something. How do you approach this problem when you start something and everything falls apart?
Absolutely. That is a very valid point. Discipline. Well, I have an advantage. I am also an active reserve officer in the Air Force. So I'm a very disciplined person already by education. And let's say the military education gave me an additional sense of discipline. I would take it from a different starting point. First of all, because good ideas are many good ideas. I have seen so many good projects, and they all on paper sound fantastic. But not all will succeed, and that is good, because if everyone would be successful, there would be not enough place for everyone, logically. So if some are successful, that means others failed. And first of all, when you have a project, you have to check the first thing, is there a market? Let's say you have a project or an idea of recycled waste bin for photo laboratories. And let's say there are worldwide 5 laboratories buying those waste bins, okay? And if they're already buying from someone else and you only have 5 players, there's a risk, because you might start producing your product, you might try to sell it, but if you don't have a market for your product, then it's totally senseless. So first of all, before you start, assess the market and check if you have a business case, and if there is a market that is big enough that you could fit in. This is very often also, I saw that very often in DeFi, it's a niche market. We experience it ourselves on Uniswap. I have 2 companies that are listed on Uniswap, among other exchanges. And Uniswap last year was a big hype. This year, there is a certain phenomenon that it's slowing down. It's not the same speed, it's not the same traffic, it's not the same trading volume. Why? Because every day new coins are coming and people are rushing from A to B and then to C. And you will end up in the middle of the queue, and only few people will remember you. So that's why it's very important that you assess the market size beforehand, because if this is a niche market, if it's a small market, of course, the risk is very high.
And I see many entrepreneurs, they start building, but don't assess the market. Why they are doing this, and how this trend can be stopped? So people to say, okay, first I need to look at the market. After that, I will start building.
Of course, there are those guys who approach it like that, and sometimes it works out. There's also the fluke, real entrepreneurs and founders are very enthusiastic about it. It's their baby. With my first venture, I was working 24/7. I also worked the weekends, and that was very bad. Because a certain time you need some distance, and that is very hard. If you create something, you identify yourself, and let's say you will spend most of the time with your baby, your company, your project, less with your wife, your girlfriend, your friends, your family. And if you don't have a break, then sometimes it's very hard to have a certain distance. So I suggest the weekend is off. Do it also for yourself. The weekend's off. Recharge your internal batteries and breathe, and also gain some time. Do something different that has nothing to do with your project, because you will need that. And your product will even get better doing that, because if you question yourself with some distance, you will see you only can get better. Or you can also see, maybe this is not the right direction. Secondly, what is even for me, the most important is a team. If you don't have a winning team, then you can have a good product, but it probably will not fly. I remember I met a VC in Paris a long time ago. I was the one that 2010. And he told me a story of a very well-known company. And they invested in the big bubble time of 1997, 98, the new market, internet hype. And they were not sure if the product would work. Finally, the product didn't work, but they were confident that the team is able to evolve. And what did they do is they started as a company providing assistance on the internet. Now you have the bot, all that didn't exist 24 years ago on the internet. It didn't work out. The business model failed totally. But what did they do? They had so much money, they opened a call center offshore. And that was the right timing, because at that time, France was linked by fiber optics to Northern Africa. So they were among the first ones to get into that market. And they grew their call center, which is number one. I think they have 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 operators right now. And they're very successful. So that shows the team didn't stick into that project, which was initially their baby. By the way, they kept this name of this. The name was also the product. And very often people ask them, why do you have that name? That is a totally different business. And then they always tell the story how this happened. So it's very important that you have a good team that is able also to question itself. And if you have to make a turn, it might be 180 degrees. If you're capable to do that, make a turnaround for your product, that is good, and you need that. Myself, I didn't have always the winning team. When you get together, of course, You will have other people with different agenda eventually, with different financial support. That is no question, especially if you're young. And there is a founder, a CEO. There is maybe a co-founder. And there is always in every team a weakest link. So there's always someone who doesn't perform. And there will be tension. That is totally normal. I experienced that. But you have to be able to put this clearly on the table and make decisions also that hurt, eventually separate yourself from those who are not going into the right direction. Because you have to have a very solid team. You have to be like one buddy as a team. And if the buddy, one part says we go right, and the other said every time, no, we go left, after a certain time, you're going to be tired of it. And your product will not take off. So it happened to me as well. The team building is part of the success story, and it takes some time. So I have no blueprint for that, even after 20 years of experience. I recently, with another team, I had the same experience, but that is lesson learned. We put this team on the right track. So we made this team now a winning team, a successful team, which was not the case at the beginning.
How do you feel the gap between having a good idea and actually starting to execute on that idea? Because I believe everybody has $1 million or $1 billion idea, but that one in theory at least is just 1% of everything, a very important 1%, but just 1%. The rest is execution, of course, the right timing, the luck you create by doing, and things like that. But anyway, are in the execution area. And how do you feel the gap, and how can you keep yourself motivated when things are falling apart? I come to the same idea, because at the beginning this is a dominating mantra in many projects.
Well, of course, motivation. I was always highly motivated. When I decided to go for it, I go 200%. If you decide to set up a startup, you leave the comfort zone of employment. I was public servant before. It was even worse, because basically we worked until 3 o'clock and then the day was over. And as an entrepreneur, as a creator, you work 24/7, as I said, and you will have a long day, a tough day, and eventually at the beginning you will have no income. So that is the path of everyone. So you have to ask yourself, and also your associates, if they're willing to go that way. And eventually you will have 2 guys who only do that 100%. The other, he will continue working, so he will be only available at night after work. So you have to assess and double or triple check it before you go. If that is really feasible for you, if you're happy with that, and if every team member is able to provide what you expect everyone should provide. So also the expectations you have towards everyone, you should communicate that very clearly. And of course, at the beginning, you have to put some money in it. There is no miracle. And also, if you want to find investors, if you don't have skin in the game, it will be very hard to prove, because how can I trust you if you don't put your own money? Because if you put your own money, then you want to get that investment back. That is totally normal, unless you're a multi-billionaire. But I guess most of the creators, they're not billionaires. They would like to become a billionaire, and some probably will become a billionaire. But it's very important that you show other people, I believe in that, and I put my own money in that project. And if you don't have any money, then of course, then it's a so-called love money, friends and family. So you ask your parents, you ask your uncles, brothers and sisters, cousins, and of course, you have always to tell them if they put money, if they support you, there's a certain risk that this will fail, because most of projects fail, they will not fly, and this money will be lost. So make clear from the very first beginning, when you do it, communicate very clearly. That is highly risky, but high risk, high reward if it flies.
Correct. This is a very important thing. Which skills are important at the beginning? Most of the founders I see in blockchain, in DeFi, in crypto are technical people or developers, and very few of them have marketing, sales, and business development skills. Which is the route to take, to acquire those skills, or to have in the team people who are less technical but more oriented into these areas? I'm talking about the beginning, the early stage of things.
I understand. Personally, I'm a lawyer, public servant before. And I'm in telecommunications and blockchain DeFi for almost 20 years. So first of all, the first 15 years in telecommunications. Then I shifted 11 years ago to payment solutions. I have no clue how to code. I'm totally unable to read a single line of code. But I learned intellectually how it's structured. So this is learning. You have to understand the product also. If you have a technical problem, if you have a DeFi project as a CEO, as a founder, you have to have a basic understanding how that is happening. And that I learned. And I have a CTO. We worked together for 11 years. He is able to, let's say, read my mind and translate my ideas into reality. And the building of this reality, the building the product, I can, at least intellectually, I can follow it. But myself, I would be not able to code it myself. And of course, the team should be complementary. My main business partner, he's also a trained lawyer. He's a former investment banker. And we work as a tandem very good because we're complementary. Even so, we have the same past, we have different experiences, and you can recode those experiences. If you did it in banking, it's also valid in DeFi or in any other business. And end of the day, you also have to have someone, and that normally should be the CEO, who's able to sell that. Because it's nice to build something new. It's nice to have good ideas, but end of the day, you have to sell it to someone. Someone has to buy it or to adopt it or to use it. Using is already less because you also have to make some money one day, unless you're only speculating on selling a token, or that you will have lots of value of users and one day you will sell it, hopefully. It might occur, it might not occur. So you need someone who is able to bring that product you're building to the client. If you don't have that capacity, I saw that. I met some very brilliant guys, but they were only techies, and they were unable to make a summary like for normal people like you and me to explain the product. And my CTO, he explained it then to me with his words, knowing how to present that. So you have to have this ability and capability in your team that you can communicate what actually you're doing and what your value proposition is. Because if your potential clients don't understand what's a profit for them, they will potentially not buy it or use it.
Besides looking at the market, which should be the most important advice for the founders at the early stage, where to look at? So in that effort to transform an idea into something which later will become an MVP. Because in the hackathon, what happens is that the idea is transformed into a sellable pitch deck and the beginning of the product itself, and after that in the incubation becomes an MVP, is raising funds, and also it is launched, or at least one or two pieces of that, if not all three. So where to look at, which are like the 20% of things which will generate 80% of the results in that early stage.
And this, at the early stage, is very important that you challenge your idea by others. I would say, but trustful people, because maybe you have a brilliant idea. And I remember the beginning of my business career, I'm a lawyer. I made everyone sign an NDA. And by the way, it paid out because there was a huge company I presented the product to, and finally the subsidiary went bankrupt. I bought it, this company, then later. And the CEO, he kept my idea. He went off and of this company. And years later, he duplicated this idea, and even he kept the name of my product. So you can see even like very huge corporation where you suppose that they're serious guys that will not steal their idea. Be cautious. If you have a good idea, don't tell anyone. So get challenged from trustful people or people who recommend it, where we can ensure, okay, they will not spread it on the internet or simply copy it the next day. But I learned a lot with all my ventures I had by challenging it, by telling it to people. So more you tell the story to other people, and also the questions they have, I see, okay, they're always the same questions. So obviously, I have to provide answers to that, because that seems not to be clear to everyone. So by this feedback you get from others, you will be on the right track and see at least you have the ingredients to build something that could lead to an MVP.
And about the vision, which would be the correct mindset from the beginning for a founder? Like the goal would be the exit, or I don't know, a cash cow company for years after it works, or which would be the founder's vision regarding the roadmap of the company?
That is, of course, very personal. So everyone has different goals, and it depends on what your goal is. Of course, an exit also for your investors should be on the table. If you have a product, if you have a project, you're building something, it's not a charity. You do that. Why? Because one day you want to sell it, and you want to sell it for good money. Potentially, you would like to become a millionaire, a multimillionaire, and everyone should have that willingness and also express that willingness. On the other hand, it will not happen to everyone, unfortunately. And I would say you have to have like a balance between an exit strategy, but also you have to show that you're building, that you're involving yourself, that you're 200% behind your project. That is very important. You will, let's say, tell people now, hey, this is gonna be $100 million exit in a year. That is not true. At the beginning of my career, I wrote business plans for many countries. At the end of the day, We were very happy that we succeeded only in France, which was already a big struggle. So reality brought me down to like a more humble attitude. Think big, but not too big. Think also realistic. And I think then you have the ingredients to succeed. But of course, show always your willingness to win, and not only show it. Be sure you really have that willingness, because there are other people also there. They also want to win, and eventually, if the other wins, he will not. So we be prepared for that, and also the competition. In DeFi, for instance, right now, there's a hype. Many people run in the same direction. I learned something from the very first beginning. When everyone is looking at the right, I was always looking at my left. Okay, everyone is spotting that niche market right now. So what is eventually left behind? We are going to be more calm developing my product. And finally, that worked out to be very, very efficient.
In DeFi, because you brought this example, so you said that most of the projects are going right. What's on the left?
I let everyone look him by himself. So if you see that there are potentially like 30 cross-chain solutions, eventually there is not place for everyone. So it depends what your skills are and where you do see the market. So I have a certain vision and projection, but that is very subjective. So I suggest to everyone with you understanding of the market, look a bit around what is going on and also look beyond the borders. So don't focus on all the success stories. Hey, those token raised $26 million in one day. There are many tokens no one is talking about. They raised maybe $100. They failed. So, of course, this is very inspiring and motivating to see those success stories. But I would, highly recommend to always have a look also in the other direction. Eventually, you find a niche market that is much more better for you because you have less competition there.
Which was and still is your critical factor of success? And that factor of success could be modeled by founders being early in their projects. So to use it as a motivation.
I would say cash flow. Cash flow for every startup since I started 20 years ago, at a certain point was always an issue. So better cash flow you have, so sooner you get good cash flow, so better it is. Because you will see liquidity, the money you have could be burned very quickly. Because what happens when you start building, when you start progressing, there are a bunch of people they will pop up. They are gonna want the best for you, or your best. That means your money. They're selling you thousands of products. Look, I have a super influencers network. I will buy you a super campaign. You will sell another 1 million. And eventually some are able. I work with very good people, but it was a tough work to filter because there are many jokers out of there and they didn't deliver any results. So when you build a product, make sure that you always have liquidity in the angle of your eyes, because I was confronted in my 20 years career very often to the fact or the problem that we were short at liquidity.
I want to thank you very much for contributing to the hackathon. Also, you will be one of the speakers, experts, mentors in the incubation project, which follows the hackathon. Where can people find you if they want to get in touch with you?
Well, they can find me, I think, through you here. Eventually, I will leave. You have my contact details, and I am the CEO of Paypolitan, so paypolitan.io, and you can also find me on LinkedIn. And I'm happy to answer your questions if you need some advice, also business challenge, because I made some successful exits, and I see it as my role and duty to give something back to the community. So if today entrepreneur, a creator is approaching me, I'm always happy to listen and give my advice. I only can talk from my experience, of course. Time change, it might be not valid, everything I say, or my view of the market, but at least you can take it as a second opinion.
Thank you very much for contributing to DAO1's hackathon and to the incubation program.
Thank you very much, Adrian. And to all of you out of there, good luck. And by the way, I totally forgot, I'm also on Twitter. So Twitter, Nils Tharandt Ortiz. So maybe you can write somewhere my name, which is a bit complicated, so they can find me on Twitter. And you simply send me a message referring to the DAO1 Community Hackathon. Good luck to all of you.
Thank you very much again. Thank you.